All right. Good afternoon and welcome to today's edition of A Time Out with Tony. I am especially happy and excited about today's guest, somebody who I've admired for quite a long time. Many of you may know him if you're from the Boston area, but for those of you who are not from the Boston area, allow me the pleasure of introducing to you Mr. John Boo Rice. Coach Rice, thank you for joining me on the show today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Glad to be here.
So, Coach, what I want to begin with is first telling the people a little bit about you. I want to hear about your background. Tell us about yourself. Are you from Boston? Did you grow up in Boston? You were quite an accomplished college athlete. I want to hear a little bit more about who John Boo Rice is.
Well, just to start out with some things that most people wouldn't know about me is, if you don't, I'm very shy, introverted type of person. I'm really comfortable around my friends and family where I yap my head off. But like publicly, I'm like a totally different person. But born and raised in Boston, the old Boston City Hospital way back in 1960. So I turned 60 my last birthday. Been in Boston my entire life, never left. And don't even possess a passport to this day. I've never left the country. So,
wow. That's
I'm a Bostonian. I've never possessed a passport. So stayed here in Boston. As far as I've gone is California. Just, living and serving in Boston Public Schools for 36 years. A former student of Boston Public Schools. So I've been affiliated with Boston Public Schools for about 50 years. And then retired 2 years ago, but I'm still sub-teaching and still coaching. So still, giving into Boston Public Schools.
Excellent, Coach. So you were quite an accomplished athlete. You were in the Hall of Fame at UMass Boston. Tell us a little about your career over there, which led to the ultimate compliment, becoming an NBA draft pick. Tell us what that experience was like as well.
I was overlooked. So, a lot of guys in our era, we predate AAU. There was no AAU coming up. So, and then being a 16-year-old senior, throughout the 60s and 70s, they used to issue what they call double promotions, believe it or not. So I spent 1 day in kindergarten. They put me in the first grade, and I went from the first to the third. So, I found myself being a 13-year-old freshman, a 16-year-old senior. I walked in West Roxbury High School, September 1976 at 16 years old. And then just competing against older guys, being such a young senior, and, the guys that were really heralded, like a lot of us, even like yourself, we were overlooked and without the AAU. So it was really, I still had my way. I still thought I held my own, but it was like redemption in the end. Being seen and being drafted by Red Auerbach personally was like an amazing experience. What an amazing story I can share about that. So that was like a real cherry on the top for me.
What a crowning moment. I mean, we talk to young people all the time. I know you're still invested with speaking to young people. And we say, if you're going to go for something, you want to be the best at it. And to be drafted in the NBA by a storied franchise like the Boston Celtics, man, had to be something that you'll never forget for the rest of your life.
Yeah, funny story. I was a student at Boston State College, and I applied for a summer job. Got a job at the old Stride Right down on Harrison Avenue. And the guy in there was giving me a hard time. He wanted me to drop out of college and work there full time. And I kept explaining to the guy, look, I'm in college. I'm just here for the summer. And I remember working with this young brother who just came from Africa. And we bonded over there. We were working in the factory. So the guy gave us this huge job to perform at the site. And they had long serial numbers, like 10 numbers long. And we had to have all the numbers in numerical order perfectly. And it must have been about 1,000 or more boxes. And we knew we had it down perfectly. So when I came in that Monday, the guy fired the both of us. And he was really angry. You can get away with it. It was like 1981.
Right.
And the guy fired the both of us. So I came home. I still remember the day. My grandmother was sitting on her porch, and the Boston Globe, used to deliver the papers back then, was sitting on the floor of the porch. And I picked up the help wanted section, and it said summer camp counselor needed. It had no name of the camp, anything. It just said summer camp counselor needed. And when I called, a guy answered the phone, and I had never worked at a camp before. That was like the only job I ever had was at Stride, right? And the guy picked up the phone and says, "Hey, what's your name?" I said, "My name's John Rice." He said, "John Rice?" I said, "Yeah." He says, "This is Bob Branham. I'm the head coach at Brandeis University. You scored 29 points on me this past season. I'm going to give you the job. Down here, I'm going to break both your legs." I was like, "What?" So the summer camp counseling job was down in Marshfield, down at the old Camp Millbrook. I had never even heard of Marshfield. I had to go to Route 3. I had an old broken down car. I had never been on Route 3 in my life, never heard of Marshfield. I had never even been past Hingham, didn't know where it was. And when I got down there, I had the time of my life. And it turns out at the end of the camp, it was the Celtics rookie camp. That was the location of the Celtics rookie camp. I was like, and they said, "John, you can work for the extra week. We'll pay you $200. This is the Celtics." I said, "Oh, wow, this is the Celtics rookie camp." So I worked the camp. And the next summer I worked at the camp. And back then the NBA had different rules then. So like they would fly all these guys in, just watch you scrimmage, just open run. And the Celtics brass would just watch you scrimmage. So this one day, everybody was down there. This guy, Adrian Branch, that was a star at Maryland.
Yeah, I remember that.
All the local guys, Al McClain, all these guys were down at the camp. And I was just a regular D3 kid. And they said, "Rice, you can go play with these guys." And so I got on the court and I was on fire. Just making all my shots. I was on fire. And I was on the guy Adrian Branch team. I was throwing him alley-oops. He's like, "Man, you got to come to Maryland, man. You got to come down there and play with me." So as we're hooping, 7-footers, all these major D1 guys you see on TV, Red Auerbach and two other guys walk on this outdoor court on Camp Millbrook. He walks on the court, and everybody just stops and freezes, and he walks up to me and puts his arm around me. And he puts his arm around me, starts walking. He's like, "Who the hell are you? You're a tough little son of a bitch. What's your name?" I said, "My name's John Rice." He said, you're one of the Charlie's boys at UMass? I was like, "Yeah." So all week, the high school coaches and everything that were working the camp, a bunch of coaches and players, everybody came down for the Auerbach camp. A couple of coaches came and said, "Hey, Red just gave a speech, man. He was talking about you at the speech. He mentioned you." I was like, "Wow." So I went back for my senior year at UMass. That was long past. I didn't think anything of it. So, I had a great senior season at UMass Boston, team MVP, and we made the NCAA tournament. Got a bunch of honors and stuff. We were loaded with Nippy Hall and Rob White, Roscoe Patterson, all those guys. So I'm home in Dorchester watching the news, and my two buddies, Gumsy and Mike, went to the store. And it said, "These are the 1983 Boston Celtics drafts." I was like, "Oh, shoot. Today's the draft day." I had no agent, didn't hear any. I forgot about Red hugging me, had no clue. I'm just watching the news. I was like, "Man, let me see who the Celtics drafted." I was down at the camp. Let me see who the heck, man. I'm just being a fan, I'm like, and so the name started coming from the bottom of the screen up vertically. And it said number 9, John Rice, UMass. But I jumped up. I was like, "Oh, shoot. You got to be freaking kidding me." And so my two buddies came home. Gumsy and Mike came back to the apartment. I was like, "Yo, man, I just got drafted." They hit the floor laughing. Like they had convinced me I was seeing things,
Sure.
And the phone, the way he turned and looked at me, I was like, "It's true." I almost passed out, man.
Man, what a story. What a remarkable story and recap. But what I like about that story, Coach, is that, we often tell people, young men, young women who are playing, that it doesn't really matter what school you go to. If you're good enough, they will see you and they will find you. And your story by all means epitomizes that exact example of what can happen if you're good enough and you're talented enough. Obviously, you got to be at the right place and right time. You got to perform, but you know, you can make it from even a small school. So that was a great story that you just shared.
Thank
I
you.
want to ask you, Coach, what impact did your parents have on the person you've become today?
Well, you know, I'm obviously from a separated home by a lot of, like most black men, black women, our people as a whole, which really started to turn around 1970. But, you know, my dad had a major impact on me early. He was a military guy. He was a track star in high school at English High, a boxer, you know, like our generation that preceded us, they were more into individual sports. You know, our generation went more into team sports.
Right.
As time moved into the 70s and so forth, it was more of a, like the 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s into the 70s. It was, you really looked at more as an individual athlete. You had to go in the ring and box on your own. You were a track star, you had to run on your own. You got to stand on your own merit. You know, like now, guys are like team sports stars, the quarterback, the point guard, the forward, you know, more team sports stars.
Right.
But my dad was like an individual star, but he was also military. But he was really tough on me, you know. And, you know, he drilled me. He used to just drill me, you know, had me doing 100 plus push-ups at the age 10, 11, 12, and, you know, just drilling me, just so militant wise, you know, just give me the side straddle hop. That's the military name for jumping jacks.
Right.
By the time I, you know, got out with kids 11 and 12, you know, it was, you know, so, and my mom was, you know, she was there, but, you know, she lived in Brockton, remarried with my siblings. I was raised with my pops by myself in Dorchester. So, but, you know, they both were good and loved them unconditionally.
That's fantastic. Were there others in the community, other men, other people that were influential on your life in terms of, you know, that you looked up to, that they were role models?
Absolutely. I mean, I could go on all day, but you know, I went through the forced busing era, and I'll get to your question, you know, just going through the forced busing era. So forced busing in Boston started in 1974. In high school, didn't start until the 10th grade back then. So entering to Hyde Park in 1974 as a sophomore, I was 14 years old in the 10th grade. For the first time, I laid my eyes on my first black teacher, Roger Harris. And he was my health and phys ed teacher. And I never forget, I still remember the first day in the basement of the old Irvin building. That was the Hyde Park Annex building. We were down we went into his health room, and all the black kids, we sat in the back of the room because there was a lot of racial violence going on. This was the first time I ever laid my eyes on him. It was his first year as a first-year teacher.
Okay.
It was my first year entering high school. This is 1974, 46 years ago. And so he said, hey, you guys move up. I'm not going to be yelling and, you know, and he was himself.
Right.
And we just hit it off from there. And I said, you know what? I want to be just like this guy right here. I want to be a health and phys ed teacher and a coach and impact lives just like this guy. But then I had Jim Pete, old Mr. Pete from the Roxbury Y, Lou Sanders, Al Kennett, Alfreda Harris. You know, I think Jim Hester from Lena Park. You know, I think, you know, our age group, Charlie Titus, that was like the golden era of leadership when those people were youth workers. When you had Alfreda Harris being a youth worker and Al Kennett, Jim Pete, and all those guys. So, you know, I just bounced off of all of them, and I'm sure I missed a few, but you know, I'm still close with Roger Harris to this day. And, you know, and I, you know, besides my dad, that's who I patted myself behind.
That's great. You mentioned some real legendary names there who were really investing in young people in the community to make sure that they will find their way and would make better decisions. I want to switch gears, Coach, because one of the things that many people may know you for is coaching. So you made a serious commitment to invest in teaching the game of basketball the correct way as a coach. And you've won numerous city and state titles and to go along with Coach of the Year awards. Well, I want to ask you, what was the pivotal moment in your life that led you to coach girls and young women as opposed to coaching boys?
Yeah, I mean, I've just always had something in me. Just growing up as a kid, you walk out to the outdoor courts, and back then, everybody was just doing open runs in the outdoor courts. Those were the good old days. And that's the best training is, kids today are just going with, cones. Back then, like a big guy like yourself would get the rebound, the score is 32-30. You're going to keep it, bring it up, against, guards trying to steal it from you. You take the shot. And that's like the best training, live training. And so what I had in me was if I came to the court, I knew my ability, and I knew there were guys that would try to jump with four other guys that were really good to try to win the game and stay on the court. I would always love the challenge to take four guys that weren't that good to see if I can beat these guys with these four dudes right here. And so that's what kind of led me to coaching girls hoops. I was at the Jeremiah Burke for like 3 years. I didn't even attend the girls basketball game. I was just trying to get onto the boys. And when I first started out in my late 20s, the lady who was the girls coach then had some issues where she couldn't come back to coach, and the girls asked me if I would coach, so that combination got me into starting coaching girls hoops, and God just had a plan for me, because the one and only time they had the middle school city championships at the Burke is the year that Star Fuller and those girls and Marsha Blaylock were 8th graders, and that city playoffs was held at the Burke, the only time.
Right.
And I ended up with those two.
Wow, what a blessed opportunity that was right there. A blessing dropped right in your lap, and you couldn't have planned it, and it just worked out that you walked into your passion and you answered the call. That's the challenge for a lot of people, boys. They don't answer the call when it's there in front of them because they can't recognize that it's a call. And
timing's huge.
Yeah, timing is everything.
Time is huge. It's just, when that window's there, you gotta take it, because something is great, it passed you by. When the time's gone, it's over. It's like a girl, she's got that interest. Once you don't take it, it's all over later on, but she's moved on.
So my next question to you, as a coach, what brings you the greatest satisfaction?
Honestly, at the top of my list is seeing the self-esteem grow. Because, with the girls, a lot of them, like tomboyish and struggling with themselves internally, and then coupled with that, the parents are looking to escape that burden of paying the college tuition. So I always hold myself and others accountable on the whole development of the student athlete. And if they come to you with the potential of getting a scholarship where you can get them the money to pay for school, that's like really gives me the most sad. That's the thing that I'm most proud of the most, is how many scholarships that I help the young ladies get. Because that, to me, coaching is so much power in it. So much power in it, and to this day, I started coaching girls in 1990. I still have a wonderful relationship with just about all of them. And they're all like friends for life. They're all graduated from college. And no student loans, no bills. I mean, it's just huge. And so that's like a way that we can help uplift our people through athletics, and just holding on to them for the 4 years through the travel and the talks, that you turn the engine off the long talks, getting them through tough times. And, you just continue to do it despite the criticism and the hate and the rumors that people say about you. You just say to yourself, I can't turn my back on the kids because these, 6 people in the stands are talking about me. I got to stand by these girls no matter what they think I'm doing. I'm cheating, whatever the case may be. You got to stick with the kids. You can't walk away from the kids to appease somebody that doesn't care about you anyway.
Yeah, and that's a great point. I mean, we all got our dollars and haters. That's never going to change. And you don't have to do anything to have people hate you. That's just the nature of some people. And
Right.
like yourself, I invested in coaching young women as well. And the reason that led me to it, to be honest with you, Boo, was I saw people like yourself do it. But I said, these young sisters need to have a man in their life who loves them unconditionally, who doesn't want anything, and show them that we can be a leader and we love them with compassion and help them get through some of those minefields you just mentioned earlier. So I really appreciate what you've done for the young women and how you've helped them. Many of them go on to higher education and beyond. So conversely, I'm going to ask you, what's your pet peeve as a coach?
Pet peeve in what? My coach and player relationship?
Yeah, what's that thing that gets underneath your skin as a coach? You talked about earlier about people using cones and all that stuff, or maybe it's not helping the actual or investing in the whole individual student athlete. What's that thing that gets underneath your skin as a coach that really bothers you? We can apply it to today's game if you wish.
Well, I think the thing that bothers me is, like the attitude of the adults, the parents that just get way over the top with their behavior. Like to me, sometimes like certain parents, like it's almost like they have to impress their own children, their own child, to chastise the coach. I'm like, dude, she's already your daughter. She's already going home with you. You don't have to, and then, certain coaches that just put themselves up there, that claim that they just know so much more than everybody else. I mean, we all learn our drills, the plays that we run, our press break from somewhere else where we saw it somewhere else. I think, each coach, you just get access to our minds. Like when you coach, they get access to Coach Price's mind. When they get me, they get access to my mind, how I see things. And I just think, it's just our vision, that, and when we apply the same press, the 2-2-1, like most people might face straight up in the 2-2-1. I turn sideways. It makes the 2-2-1 quicker. So it's just little things like that, so my pet peeve that where I would pounce on thing is like, because sometimes we do have to police each other as the adults,
right,
in a certain way. We do have to hold each other accountable. If you're sitting in a coaching position for 5, 6, 7, 8 years and you can't really produce one scholarship, that's a problem for me. And people say judging. To me, I don't publicly judge it. I just say to myself, man, I just don't know how I could be somewhere 5 years and I can't get somebody to get, to the next level. I just don't even know how to. And so that's kind of what bothers me. How can you stay there year after? And I've seen some coaches keep their jobs for a long time.
Right.
And I'm like, man, I couldn't live with mine. That's the thing I always say to the student athlete, look, if you don't plan on working your butt off to try to get some money for school, and I'm going to, because my most successful players who have done better in life weren't my best players either, necessarily. But, you got to know when they walk in, you got to try to lead them to the next level. So that's what burns my butt even more.
I share that same passion that you have, Coach. So for the next segment, I want to switch gears to another passion that you have, that you and I have talked a lot about over recent times off the air. But before we go into that segment, I just want to put a disclaimer out there to let people know that the information that you're going to share is not meant to be medical or professional advice. We ask people that they please consult a medical professional before starting a diet or making a change to their eating habits. So, Coach, I want to talk to you about this other area that you're very passionate about, and that is proper nutrition. You're a big advocate of eating the right types of food. So I wanted to ask you, what led to this area of focus for you? Was there a change, something happening in your life? And please, you don't have to share if it's really personal, but I want to know what turned that light bulb on for you to really get passionate about this topic?
A combination of things. I'm a retired health and phys ed teacher. but I'm just such a truth seeker. And when I retired 2 years ago, I really wanted to get into researching and studying things that we were not taught. And in the way I put it, it's one thing where we all get taught the same thing. We get taught, we take the same courses throughout high school, the prerequisites, and in college, and you take the 4 years of math and a couple of years of science and 4 years of English in high school. And some of us do better than others in those courses. But we all take pretty much the same. We get the same type of education. But to me, it's different when you can bring up a conversation where it's tough for other people to join in, because when you start to look at what is not taught, that changes. And so for me, I've always had an interest in the truth. I'm a truth seeker. So I wanted to research all of my beliefs. Everything that I believed in, I wanted to dig into it really, really hard. And then coupled with, being diagnosed with high blood pressure 15 years ago, being overweight, have family member dealing with some serious issues. And a cousin of mine handed me a tape that said, it was entitled "How to Eat to Live." This doctor out of the Cleveland, it's a hospital in Cleveland. I had it, but Dr. Asepsian. But and so once I looked into that, I saw the connection with all sickness and disease related to animals and animal byproducts. And so I just moved from there.
Now, you're not, obviously you're not a certified dietitian or anything like that. This is just something that you really decided to just jump right in head first because you wanted to see how it was impacting your life.
Yeah, so I just made a conscious decision that, I didn't want to live with high blood pressure. It pained me to see a family member dealing with those issues. Like disease is obviously dis-ease, D-I-S, you're not at ease, dis-ease. So I just got into studying and researching and coming across, Dr. Sebi, Dr. Lila Africa, Brother Polite, the Cleveland Clinic, nutritionfacts.org, Dr. McGregor. So once you get on a trail, and it said where once you get 4 sources, once you cite 4 credible sources, then you can open your mouth. And everywhere I turned, all these doctors was saying the same thing. And so 80% of all deaths in America come from heart disease or cancer. Those 2 diseases are directly related to animals. So, and me being, a spiritual person, if I may, it just like me, I just do everything using my common sense. I just use my common sense. If it makes sense to me and I see it. So I said to myself, well, I believe in the Creator. I believe in the Most High. Should I be eating the animals? Should we be killing God's animal? And I don't want to take anybody that way, but it just didn't seem like it fit right for me. It just didn't seem like, okay, I can go to church and I'm going to come home and then I'm eating the cows and the chickens and, something just didn't seem right with that with me.
Right.
Coupled with what I was dealing with. And then all their studies were showing that, these things could subside if I went towards a natural plant-based lifestyle rather, and it came true. It came to pass.
So one of the conversations you and I had offline was the challenge, the economic challenge of buying organic food. I know you're a big believer in organic products, but we also know that there are economics to that makes it tough for some people in the community who can't afford that or don't have the access to those organic vegetables and things like that. So what advice would you give someone who's listening right now who wants to make that change? Maybe they're battling with something else, an illness or disease, coach, but they don't have the economic resources to fully invest and change to organic products. What would you do? What would you suggest to them as a way to get started?
Well, again, I'm not really advising anyone, but just saying what I've done is, I just changed up my value system. So not real, a lot of travel, no real expensive clothes, no $200 sneakers and that kind of stuff. Just, pouring more of my budget towards healthier foods. There's, when you eat conventional versus organic, conventional, you're taking in all the chemicals with the tomato. When it's organic, now you get the tomato without the chemicals. So, and it's all by design. So, the food is their weapon of choice. And I think it was President Nixon who said that they were going to weaponize food back in the 70s. And so, they know we all have to eat.
Right.
And I think that's like one of the difficulties that our people are having now with this COVID virus. Certificate of vaccination, COVID identification. Certificate of vaccination identification in 2019. So I think, the health of our people, where the CDC is saying, do all the outside work, scrub the tables, spray the Lysol. They're not telling us the inside work to do. How do you have your immune system strong enough to fight off if you are confronted by the virus? You got to do the inside work. How do you each day build up your immune system to fight off this virus? So we're electrical beings. The whole universe is electrical. If you take out your cell phone and let me see if I got it here. If you take out your cell phone and you see your compass, that's showing the electromagnetism on the earth.
Right.
Everything is electrical. We have electrons. Everything is based on electricity and energy. So if you're an electrical being, you have to eat electrical food. Nothing dead can keep you alive. You can't stay alive eating something dead. You can't eat dead animals. Death does not bring life. So why are you eating death to live? Eat live electrical food. AED is electrical charge. So
right.
Everything is, the electric, and even in vote is all connected to that. So in your common sense, like when you eat something that puts you to sleep, obviously it wasn't the right food to eat because now your body's trying to clean it up. It knocked you out. So when you eat something that gives you more energy, everything is based off of energy and electricity. Plant-based foods are electric food. As long as they're not hybrid foods, they have to be natural food, not hybrid. So the best way to identify hybrid food is if it doesn't have seeds. Just use your common sense.
Gotcha. So, you shared with me, again, off the air, we had a conversation about fasting. And I've heard, I'm sure some of our listeners have heard about different types of fasting. But you shared with me one that I found interesting, and I got to be honest with you, I'm trying it now to see how it works, and that was the 12-hour fast. And I want you to just share, again, what that fast entails and why you're a big proponent of that type of fasting.
Because, once you really get into reading, like here's a great book I just want to share by Dr. Africa. Can you guys see that book?
I can see it.
Once you start getting into books, and you start to read. So what was your question again?
What, the 12-hour diet and fasting that you talked about, what led you to be a strong advocate for that? Because you shared that with me, and again, I'm trying it just to see how it works. But it takes time. You don't jump things in the cold turkey. But I want to know what made you a big, strong advocate of that particular fast.
Because aside of how I'm eating, it's my mindset and the knowledge that I've gained. So I know that you can't just be in the universe. You have to be the universe. You can't be separate from the universe. The universe is electric. You can't be in this universe and be a separate entity to the universe. See, once you gain this information and knowledge, that's why I showed the compass. We're electric. The universe is electric. We're connected to it. So in its nature, natural nature, you see. So what I try to do is live just like a plant, a flower, a tree. I go right alongside nature. When the sun comes up, I get up. When the sun goes down, I go to sleep. You see? So I work in harmony with nature, not killing a bug flying in my house or any of that stuff. So just the 12-hour fast, getting to that, it's just, we'll call it a fast, but there's 24 hours in a day. So 12 hours I have to eat, 12 hours I don't eat, and I get my body on a system, just like the sun comes up and comes down every day. Like the moon goes around the earth, takes it 9 years. Everything is 9. Our mother carries us I'm going to get back to that, but I don't want to drift too far. But our mother's carries for 9 months. 432 hertz is the meditation sound, the frequency of the music. 4 + 3 + 2 is 9. Everything comes up to 9. The circumference of the moon is 432 miles, the sun. Everything is 9. See, that's a deeper level of understanding or overstanding, if you will. The 9, everything times 9 comes back to 9. So, and so with the 12 and 12, that's how you align everything up. So if you eat at 8 o'clock tonight, you don't eat until 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. So you have until 8 in the morning till 8 at night to eat, and then 8 in the night till 8 in the morning where you sleep 8 of those 12 hours, so your body gets on a regiment where you constantly know that you're supposed to go to the bathroom a certain time every day when you get up, if you're eating right. Because when you get education here in America, which is indoctrination pretty much, you leave, they shove you out into the adult world. You don't know how much protein you need, how much calcium, know how much nutrients. You just don't know where you are. You just don't know. So people are just guessing because it's done intentionally. You get shoved out into the world. Well, I guess I'm getting enough protein. Well, I guess I have enough calcium. I guess I'm getting enough chlorophyll in me. People just have magnesium. You just don't know. I assume my iron's okay. So, and that's where they put us. And so you just have to believe, the food guide pyramid, that whole thing where they have the meat and the milk and the cheese and the eggs and all things is all right. It's all incorrect.
Wow, that's deep. And Coach, we're going to wrap up, but I definitely want to have you back on, man, so we can talk further about that. But just any last closing words for the listening audience before we sign off?
Yeah, I just would like to say, like when I go to the market, when the virus first hit, I take my time going into the market because the real food's always in there. All the fruits and vegetables, it's packed. The okra, the greens, the cabbage, they're all there. The cucumbers, the shelves are empty. It's not real food. The fake food is gone. The shelves, I'm not worried about the empty shelves. Real food doesn't come in boxes. It's not mac and cheese from Kraft.
Well, great. Well, Coach, thank you for your time, for joining us. I really appreciate that. And for those who are listening, I just wanted to say, if you want to get in contact with me, if you want to drop me an email at tony@tonyrprice.com. If you love what you're hearing and you want to share about other possible topics you'd like for me to discuss or how this broadcast is encouraging you, please feel free to drop me a line. So until our next time out, be safe, give thanks, and look for opportunity to encourage and serve others. Now get back in the game. God bless.